Morning, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. I know it's the second day, but we are going to do our best to make this as fun and interesting a conversation for you all. This is really a hot topic. I mean, I'm not biased as an international lawyer to say that at all, but it really is a hot topic these days when we're seeing growing global instability, a crisis of accountability, and an alarming rise in authoritarian influence that really is testing the strength of international legal institutions. I have spent most of my career working for UN-backed international criminal tribunals, so it's no secret that I'm a firm believer in the value and the power of international law. But I have to say that in the last 4 to 5 years, especially which coincides with the amount of time I've been living in Armenia, I have never been asked the question more often, does international law really matter? And does human rights, do they really matter? Does it even work? Which is why I'm even more excited to be the moderator on this panel today, because I don't have to answer the question for once. I can pose these questions to my panelists and let them carry the burden. But anyway, the consistent answer I would always give in basic questions like that is a very obvious yes. Of course they matter, of course they work. But to be fair, the cynicism is not unfounded. There is an important body of scholarship highlighting a growing trend of authoritarianism in international law, where powerful regimes are increasingly shaping, or rather weaponizing, international law to serve their own interests. And those interests are not always morally or ethically sound. This will often involve, for example, you'll see this with an overemphasis on the principle of sovereignty, regime protection, national security, typically framed as self-defense at the expense of core international principles, with the laws of war tending to be the most egregiously thrown out the window. And we can really now see nowadays how powerful states are pushing back hard against international accountability mechanisms. Countries like Russia using the veto power to wage an illegal war of aggression with impunity, or even the United States imposing sanctions on the International Criminal Court for issuing arrest warrants. But it's the smaller, more vulnerable states that really rely on these very mechanisms to protect their sovereignty and their security. Armenia has turned to the International Court of Justice and has joined the International Criminal Court in efforts to peacefully resolve and peacefully address serious grievances with some of its neighbors. Countries like Vanuatu and other small, tiny microstates are also going to platforms like the International Court of Justice to lead global efforts on climate change because their very existence depends on somehow preventing rising sea levels from erasing them and wiping them off the face of the earth. For these countries, and there are so many more, the international rule of law it's not abstract, it's not a nebulous, cloudy thing, it's an actual, literal lifeline of defense, and it levels the playing field in a world that is tilting towards, dangerously towards the might is right principle prevailing. So the rule of law offers protection. It is not just about post-conflict justice. It's about preemptive credibility. It's about deterrence. It's about a framework in which sovereignty can be asserted without force. And that is a world I want to live in. But how does that work in practice? That's what we're here to talk about today. And for this, we are joined by 4 absolutely exceptional individuals whose work represents different facets of the global architecture of international law, from national prosecution to transnational coordination and international institutional administration to strategic foreign policy, I could not dream of having a better composition for this discussion than the panel that we have right here, right now. So let's begin. I should stop talking. I just love becoming a co-panelist, but I'm not supposed to do that. My first question is for Madam Prosecutor General. Can I just say I love saying that because she is the first Prosecutor General of Armenia, female. She's the first female Prosecutor General of Armenia in an institution that is over a century old. So we're very honored to have you with us today, and it is my great honor to ask the first question to you today. In light of Armenia's recent ratification of the Rome Statute and its increasing engagement with international legal institutions, how do you see the role of international justice, not just in addressing past violations, but